Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday's Notes. And being a TikTok Tuesday, I thought we'd start with something fun today. Check out this.
Aren't you the guy who tried to hurt me with the word goodbye? Though it took some time to survive you, I'm better on the other side.
All right, hope you enjoyed that. We are going to start the second section of Chapter 12. And let me adjust this and we'll get started. Okay, so I don't think this will take very long. I would like you to pay attention to the examples, and I think those will help you on the homework. Yesterday, we looked at what a cylinder was and how to find the volume of it. Today, we're going to do the same thing with a cone, right? A cone is similar to a cylinder, but a cone only has one base. Remember, a cylinder has a circle at the top and at the bottom, both called bases. A cone, as you can see here, only has one base, and then, of course, it goes up to a point. We all know what a cone is. So what I want to look at first is, how does the volume of a cone compare to the volume of a cylinder? The cone and cylinder here have the exact same radius. See, they both have a radius of 3. And they have the same height, which is 5. So how do you think their volumes will compare? Well, I'm going to show you how they compare, but I hope you took a guess. The cone, since we don't know how to calculate that yet, I've already given it to you. It has a volume of 15 pi, and I thought I'd leave pi in there. It'll be more obvious when I'm done here. What about the volume of the cylinder? Do we know how to calculate that from yesterday? Well, let's do it. The volume is equal to pi times the radius squared times the height, right? That's the area of the circle times the height. Pi r squared is the area of the circle. And so if we plug our numbers in, this would be pi times 3 squared times the height, which is 5, right? And when I multiply 3 squared would be 9, and 9 times 5 would be 45. I get that the volume is 45 pi cubic centimeters. So how does that volume compare to 15 pi? Anybody know? Well, it is actually, if you look at the pi's are the same, but if you took this and you multiplied it times 3, you would get the cylinder. This is actually a really cool demonstration to do in class, where you can take a cone and fill it with water, and you can show that it takes 3 cones to fill up a cylinder of the same radius and height. Basically the same size cylinder as you have cone. So it takes 3 of them. 3 cones make 1 cylinder. Or if you go the other way, the volume of the cylinder is 1/3 times the volume of the cone. That's as long as they have the same base and the same height, it's 1/3 as big. So because we know that, we can of course fill that out, which I've already written in here for you. The volume of a cone can be found by using the formula volume equals 1/3 times the area of a circle. Well, that's 1/3, and we know that the area of the circle is pi times the radius squared times the height. Look, this is exactly the same formula we used for the cylinder yesterday, except now we're multiplying by 1/3, or multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. If you like that better, you could write this pi r squared h and divide the whole thing by 3. Same thing. So let's do our 2 quick examples, and we can be ready to do the homework. All right, so first we have find the exact volume of the cone in terms of pi. Now I actually hand drew this one because sometimes you need to draw your own picture, and it's not hard to do. You just draw an oval, put a dot in the center, and then draw a triangle above it, and you have a cone, right? And the height of the cone goes right down the middle to the center of the circle, and the radius of the circle goes from the center to the edge. And in this case, we want to find the volume of this circle, and we're just going to make up numbers to show you how to do it. Let's say that the height is 8. I guess it doesn't matter what units are on it. And the radius is 3. So to find the exact volume, I would simply use my formula 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height, and I would substitute all the numbers in I know. Remember, there are 3 variables here, volume and radius and height. And if I know 2 of those, I can substitute my numbers in and solve for the missing one. Well, in this case, the missing one is the volume. It'd be 1/3 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 3 squared, times the height, which is 8. And in this first example, they are asking me to use pi in the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and leave pi in my answer, and I'm going to do the rest of the multiplying on my calculator. 3.14 times 3 squared times 8 times 1/3, or divided by 3, either way. And I end up with 75.36. Now sadly I've messed that up, haven't I? Because they told me to leave pi in my answer. So let me put pi back in the answer and try it one more time. What I really want to do is calculate 1/3 times 3 squared times 8. And when I do that, oh my goodness, I get 72 divided by 3, 24 pi. Alright, so I got the 24 from doing 3 squared times 8, giving me 72, and then I multiplied that by 1/3 and got 24. And I left pi in the answer. 24 pi is the answer to the exact volume. Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that one. When I want to round that to the nearest tenth, then I put 3.14 in for pi, and I multiply 24 times 3.14, and that's when I get 75.36. Or if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, that would be 75.4. All right. So I have one more, and in this one we know the volume when we want to solve for a different variable. So it says here that the volume of the TP is 471 cubic feet. To the nearest foot, all right, when it says to the nearest foot, that means whole number of feet. What is the radius of the TP? Use 3.14 for pi. So this time I'm trying to solve for this amount right here, the radius. And I'm going to go to my formula, volume equals 1/3 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared, times the height, which is 12.5. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the numbers together. The 3.14 times 12.5 times 1/3, or divided by 3, and that gives me 13.083 repeating r squared, and that equals the volume, which they told me was 471, right? I put 471 in for the volume. So the next thing I would want to do is I'd want to divide 471 by my decimal I got on my calculator. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm dividing both sides by the 13.083 repeating. So 471 divided by that gives me exactly 36. I get r squared equals 36, because I did not round off the decimal when I divided it. And then to get rid of the square on the r, I need to take the square root of both sides. And so then I would get r equals the square root of 36, which is 6. The radius of the TP is 6. Radius of the TP, 6 feet. All right, that's it. Good luck.